Mother Nature can be understood in most cases. Research and science are able to give knowledge on how things work, but sometimes Mother Nature can give gifts of mystery and wonder, leaving baffling questions as to how certain phenomenon occurs.
People find them in Australia, in Russia, in China, almost all corners of the world.
It's no mystery that trees fall. Strong winds and even tornado weather can influence how trees fall. But what happens when you come across this? Or this?
With wind influencing trees to fall, either trees decide to create these mysterious structures, or does Mother Nature swoop in and create mysterious art for us to discover?
The answer to this? No. And okay, multiple trees can fall in the same area. They can overlap, and some can fall and get caught on other standing trees, like this. So we can determine that this is facts and can happen, but the winds, weather, tree death will not create structures that are complex.
Look like a hut. See that little
You can see me, right?
broken
Like
tree?
that?
Yep,
Look at this.
coming right now. See how this one here is laid down, and this one's bent. Looks a lot like Western Mass to me. A couple of them don't have roots. Other ones are bent and held into place. Look at this arch one. It goes up. It's forced down into there, locked into place. Follow that arch. Look at that. There's that arch, right? There it is. That was standing up way over there, minding its own business. And somehow this little broken branch came down and put it and grabbed it way over here.
In 2009, in Western Europe, a cyclone tagged as claws damaged millions of trees of all types and sizes, oaks to bushy pines. This damage of fallen trees struck up research to study the physics that cause trees to fall. Emmanuel Biraud of the École Polytechnique in France and his colleagues performed simple experiments on horizontally held rods made from beech. Fixing one end, the researchers applied increasing weight, at the other recording the curvature of the rod as it bent and eventually snapped. The data showed that wood breaks at a critical curvature radius, which depends on the diameter and length of the rod. Using this relation and a model of wind force, researchers arrived at a scaling law for wind speed to which a tree breaks. To simply explain, hardwoods such as oak, softwoods such as pines, are all susceptible when wind blows at a consistent and critical speed. Putting the mathematic formulas aside and scientific research, it is clear that if a tree falls, it does just that. It doesn't create designs or structures that require critical thinking and physical building using hands and thumbs. While forest meteorologists do their job, researching wind and the interaction it has with trees, let's bring back focus to tree structures. There is a book called A Field Guide to Sasquatch Structures, the 50 most common types in North American forests, and it was written by Christopher Noel. Christopher Noel has documented in drawings in this book the common structures you can find throughout the forests. To name a few, the teepee, the X, and the dream catcher. These structures are so majestic and beautiful. Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, has been around for many, many, many years. Native Americans talked about them and valued them greatly. Could Sasquatch have taught natives how to build using trees, or what these designs mean? Most definitely. Christopher Noel makes a statement that speaks so much truth. Much like humans manipulate the environment, Sasquatch must manipulate its environment as well. Humans manipulate by building businesses. Bigfoot manipulates by building beautiful tree structures.
There's an interesting connection that Christopher Noel made. It's the connection between autism and Bigfoot.
Decide that in some form at least, Sasquatch and autism have connections, then we can use this as a framework through which to better understand and even to approach communication with this species. There are people in North America who are conducting long duration experiments in communication, but it's indirect communication, it's object-based communication. There's a wonderful woman in Ohio who for years now has been leaving objects, attractive objects, little dolls, little toys, little silver bowls on her back porch, and has them very often specifically rearranged. She'll put dice out there, 3 of them right together, and with the one pointing up. And the next morning, all 3 will be together, snugly together, flush, but the 6s will be pointing up. Signs like that proliferate in her experiment and in those of many other people. And this is how Sasquatch and Homo sapiens are going to be able to be in touch with each other. It's not going to be direct.
This is an interesting theory nonetheless. And our own Richie B, along with friends Mike Trainer, Mike Moniz, and Dave McCullough, have their own discussion on this theory.
Sideways like that. You've seen the pictures. I think I've showed all you guys that. So, that's the tree bark. Yeah.
Right, and the geometric thing very well may just be a nature, like a character of their nature. Because Christopher Noel also has the savant theory, where they have some characteristics that could parallel autism and things like that, which could have to do with the stacking of things, right? And also some of these abilities that are just beyond comprehension. That some human Homo sapiens savants are
and I've heard that theory before. No, so yeah, and that's one of the big things. I got a question, right? And Matt, what's your theory on this? Also, everybody should chime in with something
about autistic and savant type of
the
characteristics.
Savantism
I can definitely
autism.
say yes. My daughter's autistic, so I have firsthand experience in how this happens, and also I'm somewhat on the spectrum myself. But yeah, what these are doing is very much similar to what certain autistic kids will do, and as well as adults. They'll take things and they'll put things in their order, what they see as needing to be in, this sequence's pattern. And obviously these objects are examples of mechanical manipulation. In other words, these things are put there mechanically by something. Nature generally doesn't do stuff like that in random order. This has particular order, and what I'm seeing is something that took cognitive ability as well as physical ability and put the 2 things together to make this. Now, is that a Sasquatch or is that a person? We don't really know, like Mike said. Right. But it's not just, these random branches fell and they landed here.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. And that's like with Twist, right? And I want to get David's opinion on this as well. Let me see if I can find my Twist that she just had up. So like this here, Like that thing is, if you're standing in front of this thing, it's completely twisted all the way around. Now I've gone with the antlers, the bucks, and all that. Mating season with the deer, and doing all this stuff, trying to imagine it. You know what I mean? And I just only come back to one thing, and it's these guys right here. You got to have those, man. In order to, I think, to twist something so badly 1.5 times around, you have to have it thumbs. That's my theory on it. Dave, what's your theory back on that other one with the savantism?
I think the twist for sure can only be one thing, a squatch. Anything else, they can gouge it, scrape it, break it, but they can't twist it up like that in a circle. And there's definitely hands involved there. That's my opinion.
Requires torque. Torque requires.
Yeah, torque, yeah, I agree. Exactly. And Dave, it's funny because that's one thing I've heard this theory before, and we never really, you're out in the field. You don't really sit there and say, "Oh, do you think Bigfoot has autism or is autistic?" You know what I mean? Well, how do you feel about that? Because, to me, I'm not sure how I feel about that. To see the things I've seen on my properties, like I have a 30, 40-foot X out in the woods, and it's perfect. And if anybody saw, I was out with WBZ. They had that short clip with Matt Shearer from WBZ and iHeartRadio. And we walked up on that. Like, we were there. We walked up on that, man. It was like, I was like, oh, I'm going to hope something happens, you know what I mean? Because the guy's here. And then you walk up and you're like, what the frig? And it was standing on 2 little sticks, But the point I'm trying to make is the middle where the X met was perfect, man. More perfect than I can do it as a human. Look at it, I'm off. You know what I mean? It was right, Dave. It was perfect. Right. And I have pictures of that I posted on my TikTok, on my Instagram. And to sit there and look at that, you do need a lot of strength, Sean. Exactly. And to sit there and look at that, and these trees even bring up the point of strength. These trees are huge, man. And I remember looking at Matt Shearer and I said, listen, bro. All right, let's go with the weather. I'm going to play the game, right? This one breaks, falls over here, lands perfectly on this little other tree at the tip of it, right? Remember that, Dave? Oh, there she is. Oh, look at that beauty. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the cover of the Christopher Noel book. Go back to the cover. Yep, the Christopher Noel book. You see it on my left. I don't know where it is. And that is what's on my property on the right. Yeah. That's what I found. That's what we found out there. I was out with another investigator when we found it. And the book was published in 2016, and that structure was found in 2021. So it's for me. I always say that, but it's not like I made it. You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of them mean different things, and they're found all over the country. If you've seen tree structures from Colorado or Washington or Texas, or anywhere, they mean something. It's some type of, I don't know if it's a communication to them or to us, warning us. Water, food source, who knows? Yep. But it seems to be everywhere. You'll see these, like your picture, Chris Noel's. That's up in northern Vermont. I'm sure they got them in Canada, British Columbia. You see this stuff all over the place.
The savant theory has a strong point as to why structures are created as they are. It is not too far-fetched to consider Bigfoot having these traits of autism. The diagnosis and disorder, no, but traits, yes. Okay, so I wanted to kind of break into the documentary, or maybe this is at the end, but I wanted to show you my own personal structure that I believe that I have found in my own backyard. As you can see, the tree, if you can watch my finger, it goes up and then it cuts across, right? Comes all the way across. But look, you've almost got like a TP effect going on here, like Christopher Noel talks about. And there's just multiple branches intertwined. This tree, you follow it, it curves, it goes up, it loops, and then it hooks into a tree up there.
this is just an interesting structure I feel like I have found. And I feel like it is because there's just several things that are unique in this part of my woods personally. I feel like back here, you see that this could be either fallen trees or the way it's propped over, a possible X. There's a tree limb that starts from the bottom, and you see that it curves. I don't like to go too far back in here, but I'll show you guys. You see this tree, it curves over, and these two, that tree is underneath that. It comes up that way. This one comes from this way, and they're just propped onto that arc of a tree that's curved over. And to me, strikes that could be a personal X. And I realize that there is a lot of fallen trees in this area of my woods, but I found this interesting as well. You see, this is a bigger branch. It comes over, it's into the ground, fork-like. Then you have these branches that's coming over it, almost laid in a fashion that creates almost like a very tiny mini hut. I thought that was interesting. So let me know what you guys think. And this could possibly be another potential X. I am backed away from it a little bit, so I'm zoomed in so you guys can see this. So this will have to be something that I can evaluate at a different time as I am back up onto a hill. I don't want to go that far in, but that is another potential structure that I will be evaluating.
The next time you are out exploring, or even if you don't, I encourage you to, and I encourage you to see if you can identify structures that you may come across. Let's all come together, research, and see what we can learn about that's in the shadows and the world of Bigfoot.